Hi to Tucson. Hello to the Weintraub Israel Center, to the Jewish Community Center, to the Jewish Federation of Southern Arizona, and the entire Jewish community of Tucson. Here we are at Ramat HaGolan, and we are at an amazing site. This is a synagogue, Al Kantir. This synagogue was existing until the 700s here in the Golan, was destroyed by an earthquake, and is being rebuilt brick by brick in the exact location. And it's so special because we're talking about the state of Israel rebuilding brick by brick, tree by tree, plant by plant. I'd like to speak about May 11th. May 11th, 1949 was a very special day. It was the day that the United Nations voted to accept the state of Israel as a nation. My parents, who were Holocaust survivors, were so excited about this new dream, this new vision for Israel, for the Jewish people, that the next day when I was born, they decided to name me Israel. So here we are in Israel and celebrating this special day. What is the essence of this special day? The Torah tells us that God is present everywhere in the world. There's a special connection to God in Israel, special surveillance, and a special opportunity to come close to God. But you can only come close to God if you want it. That's how God does things. In the Holy Temple, which we as a group are going to experience, we're going to see it from the Mount of Olives next week. In the Holy Temple, there was an altar. And the altar had a fire. And every day the Kohanim would come and they would light the fire, despite the fact that a fire would come down from heaven. And our rabbis teach us, why did we need to light it if a fire came down anyway? Because God wants His presence to be concealed in some way. He wants us to search for Him. The same thing happened at the splitting of the sea. There was an easterly wind. God could have split the sea without an easterly wind, but God wanted some people in the world to say, like in the headlines in the Egyptian newspapers, yesterday there was a strange phenomenon. The sea split. The scientists say that there was a wind that came and split the sea, and maybe it happens once in a century. Of course, we know it doesn't happen without God. The state of Israel. What a great, 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 fabulous miracle in our time. You have to be blind not to see the presence of God. But you gotta want it. You have to feel it. I want to share with you something from the Torah. A promise by God to the Jewish people. It says in the portions that we're going to read this week and next week that the area, Israel, will become so desolate that the nations of the world will be desolate in it. What does that mean? And the great early commentaries, Rashi and the Ramban and Nachmanides, explain that it's a promise. God made a promise to the Jewish people. Your enemies are going to come. They're going to throw you out. And when they occupy the land of Israel, it will not flourish. The land will just not produce. It will be desolate. And only when you come back will it burst into full bloom. And that's exactly what happened. And that's exactly what the Torah said. So today is Yom Ha'atzmaut. What does Yom Ha'atzmaut mean? Independence Day, from the Hebrew word, Ve'atzmi, I'm on my own. But we have to understand really what it means for us. Atzmaut, yes, we're on our own. We're not under the domain of the Babylonians. We're on our own. We're not under the domain of the Romans. We're on our own. We're not under the domain of the Turks. We're on our own. We're not on the domain of the British. It's Yom HaAtzmaut. We're on our own to connect with God in this special holy place.